Hey there, everybody, welcome back to another episode of What Is the Video series, where I go through and casually review games without a script because I suck at writing those. This week we are going to be going over and discussing what is Crime Boss Rockay City. This was the game that was announced during the Video Game Awards that has the star-studded cast of Michael Madsen, Kim Basinger, Danny Trejo, Michael Rooker, Danny Glover, Vanilla Ice, and Chuck freaking Norris. This game, with the announcement trailer, it made me think, it made me feel, and it just kind of gave all the vibes of a Grand Theft Auto or a Saints Row type game. And instead, we got something completely different. The game, Crime Boss Rockay City, is the best way to describe it. It is a Payday style roguelike. I didn't stutter. I didn't mix up what I was covering today. This is a Payday style roguelike game. It works. It works. Whatever they did here, and I could just be a sucker, and I don't know. Whatever happened with my time with this game, I want to play more of it, and that's not a terrible thing. If a game leaves me wanting to play more, that is not a terrible thing. Let's just dive into it. How about that? So with this game, there are 3 different game modes. There is Baker's Battle, which is kind of like your campaign. It is the roguelike version of, it is the roguelike game mode, not version, but roguelike game mode of Crime Boss Rockay City. We'll dive into that more a little later on. There is Crime Time, which is your quick play mode. You can hop in, pick any sort of mission you want to do. You want to rob a bank, rob a bank. You want to rob a jewelry store, rob a jewelry store. If you want to just hop into an enemy gang's territory and just start a shit show, go for it. There's all kinds of different missions that kind of pop up and kind of rotate through as time goes on that take place in different territories or whatever. I don't think those really matter when it comes to level layout, and I'll describe that a little later on. But you can pick up as different generic gangsters. That's what you play as in this, and they each have their own individual loadouts that they start with. But as you do more missions with this, it adds money to a pot that you have, and with that pot, you can either buy new weapons for your character, or you can buy new job contracts. So you can, move up to rob a jewelry store, and then a bank, and then a bigger bank, and then, headquarters of a big crime boss or whatever. There is a bit of a progression system through that, and you can play co-op with friends, or they actually have a session browser as well, a good old-fashioned, they call it a session browser. It's a good old-fashioned server browser, what it is. And you can join other people's jobs that they have going on and kind of progress that way. The next up is the Urban Legends mode. That is, they're describing it as like a co-op mini campaign, is what it is. So it's meant to be played co-op. The goal here is to get 3 stars in all the missions. That way you can get different unlockables for the different game modes and just for the game in general. And so you want to tackle it with a group of people. And you play as a low level grump, and you just kind of work through different scenarios that tell the stories of Rockay City. It explores more into the different gangs that are spread throughout the game itself. And it gives a different insight and different look into the world that they're trying to build and the story that they're trying to tell here in general. So this one is also a co-op. This one is probably most beneficial to play with friends. That way you can guarantee the high scores. You're meeting all the bonus objectives and doing everything you need to get those high scores. I didn't particularly have anyone to test this game out with because it's hard to convince people to buy $35 games or higher, but it is what it is. We were able to hop into some sessions with people, and it was interesting. It was pretty fun playing with people as compared to playing with AI. That is for sure. Sometimes it was better. Sometimes it was like you were playing with AI when you're playing with people. It's just how it is. That's the nature of video games. But I want to dive into Baker's Battle. This is the one I spent the most time with. This is the campaign mode. This is the roguelike mode of Crime Boss Rockay City. So the general premise of this, story-wise, is you are playing as Travis Baker. You are kind of controlling Travis Baker, who is a drug dealer who has recently come to Rockay City. And as he came to Rockay City, the king of the city, the big crime boss who kind of ran everything that everyone knew and respected, he met an untimely demise. He got exploded and he's dead, which leaves a vacant spot to be the king of the city, essentially. So as playing as Travis Baker, you're competing with 4 other different crime bosses and their gangs to take over territory throughout all of Rockay City, and in efforts to become the crime boss king, essentially. So the ultimate goal is to take over all the territories in Rockay City. I believe there's upwards of 30 territories to take over total. But to take over territories, you need money. And to take over and to hold down territories, you need money. So to start that off, you need to perform jobs to gain money. The different types of jobs you can do: you can rob strip malls, you can interrupt enemy gang drug deals and take their drugs to then sell for money. You can work your way up to jewelry stores, banks, hit bank trucks. There's all kinds of different jobs you can do to make your gang some money. You do these jobs with different team members that can be hired. The more team members you have, the more jobs you can do in a day, which then results in more money. It's kind of like, you gotta spend money to make money type deal. Each of these team members have different perks and flaws about them. Some level up quicker, some level up slower. The quicker ones, when they level up quicker, their level ups do cost a little bit more sometimes. The slower ones, they do take a little bit to level up themselves, but when they level up, it doesn't cost as much to train them and all that stuff. They have different flaws. Some move slower, some health regen slower in general. It's just different perks and flaws. So you want to build your team around all these perks and flaws around them and all that stuff. So that's part of it. And then so that's how you make money that's one main source of income for your gang itself. Another way to make money, and you want to make that money to help amass your army to then take over these territories. There's 2 different ways to take over territories. There's when you first start a campaign, there are empty territories that you can send your army to take over. You just need 10 soldiers to take over an empty land. When you control a territory, you get passive income every day from that territory. And when you first take over a territory, you get different prizes such as guns or soldiers to join your crew, or drugs or valuables and all that stuff that you can sell later on down the road to then make money for your gang. If the territory is occupied, they need to then battle for it against the enemy gang that you are trying to invade and take their territory. These are set up as a team deathmatch of sorts, except every soldier gets 1 life is really what it is. So I've seen anywhere for the enemy territories to have anywhere from 12 to 21 in my time of playing this, and as far as I've gotten in the game itself. And it's an interesting take on it, because you do go in and you play as one of the soldiers. You don't get to pick their loadout. You just get put in as a random soldier. But if you're a good shooter, if you're good at FPSs, you don't need to match them soldier for soldier, because you need to send a minimum of 10 soldiers. And they recommend sending more based on how many soldiers they have. But you could go in with the bare minimum. You may lose the rest of your soldiers, but if you're good at shooters, then you'll come out on top and you'll get that territory. So it's kind of like one of those things where you surround yourself based on on the skills of yourself and the soldiers that you have available. Do be careful though, because I did spawn in once with just a crowbar on the soldier that I was controlling. And that was pretty interesting, having to run through the territory to hit someone to get their gun. So it's one of those things where you could be a great shooter, but you could spawn in with no gun. So there's that. As you progress through the game, though, you do purchase better weapons for your crew, and then they spawn in with better weapons to fight the enemy territories and all that stuff. So it's a very interesting system. As you're playing through this campaign, though, you get different... I mentioned that your soldiers get levels, but then you also have your overall boss level as well, and your boss level carries through with each subsequent playthrough as you go through the game. That's kind of like the roguelike element of your powers that you carry over into each playthrough. So these reward perks, let's put them that way, they can vary anywhere from you can get an increased starting army, increase starting team members to save you some money upfront costs at the start of a playthrough. Spend less money on mission prep. You could make more money from selling stuff. There's all kinds of different things. You have like different main characters for your crew. They all have different perk things, and it's just kind of, it's interesting how it all kind of works out. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pleasantly surprised by just how this all melded together. It wasn't really apparent at first how it all worked together, but it did. Once everything was kind of presented, it all just kind of fell into place and it all kind of clicked. And I was pleasantly surprised by all of it, and it has me coming back wanting to play more. I'm not gonna lie. I really want to play more of this, and I'm definitely going to once everything's said and done, once I get this video out and such. The game Crime Boss Rockay City is developed on the Unreal 5 engine. This is my first game I've played that is actually on the Unreal 5 engine. I'm always a big proponent of the Unreal engines themselves. They just kind of work. They've all Unreal, the developers of the actual engines themselves and all that stuff. They do a great job of providing one of the, from what I understand, I'm not a game developer, one of the best engines to work with, and then in turn gives us gamers as one of the best engines to play in. That being said, with this being built in Unreal 5, the lighting and stuff for this game, fantastic, beautiful. Particle effects, awesome. But the textures of the models and all that stuff, and some of the buildings and stuff, wasn't that blown away. But this is a smaller indie dev from what I understand. So it is what it is. They sacrificed some of those visuals for some other stuff, namely hiring the cast that they have for this game. But it's not like the game looked awful. I wasn't impressed, but I wasn't disappointed either. And obviously, with it being an Unreal 5, tons of PC options. If you are running into performance issues, you can adjust what you need to make the game run better for yourself. I ran it completely maxed out, 1080p. I'm playing on a 2080 Ti, a 10900K, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I ran into minor slowdowns throughout the game, but nothing game breaking, nothing too jarring. And that's, I think, more so a hard drive issue than it was the rest of the issues that you can kind of run into. So that's more so on me in that sense. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, what we have this star-studded cast. We have all of these insane actors and actresses with this game. And where this game truly falls flat is with their acting. Sadly, I don't know how to put it other than that. Most of the acting just feels, I don't know, wrong. I don't know. It's the only one who really stole the show, I would say, is Michael Rooker, and I really enjoyed Danny Trejo's character as well. Vanilla Ice, it feels like he's just playing himself, which, whatever. They all are pretty much playing themselves, but Michael Rooker and Danny Trejo, really, their characters were solid and really well done. But Michael Madsen just feels like he was just saying lines into a microphone. Chuck Norris, oh my god, for a game that was like, hey, we got Chuck Norris in our video game, like his voice lines were very, I feel like they were AI generated. I'm not gonna lie, there was like no feeling, no oomph, no gusto behind his voice lines, and it really was really disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, it's just what it is when you run into getting A-list actors in some of these games that aren't. I don't want to say they're not true gamers at heart, but it's just it's what it feels like nowadays, and that was my biggest gripe with it. Was really and truly the voice acting, but they're not telling some heart-wrenching, compelling story this either. It's a late 80s, 90s crime movie setup, storyline, all that bullshit. So it's not like they're trying to reinvent the wheel either with the story that they're telling. So it is what it is. It is what it is. if that's what it's going to turn you away from buying this game, yeah, so be it. I would say though, this game was, wrapping this all up, this game was not what I expected, for sure. But I ended up pleasantly surprised with it. I really did end up pleasantly surprised with this game. I would have loved maybe a GTA 5 or Saints Row style game with this cast, but at the same time, I'm not mad with what I've played and what I will continue to play here in the future, aside from the issues with the cast and their acting or lack thereof, I'll be honest, I'll say it. It was just dumb fun is really and truly what it was and what it is. It was just dumb fun. It's what games should be, just dumb fun sometimes, and that's what this was. So if you have a group of friends, I would highly suggest, if you have a group of friends that are looking for a game to play, maybe give this game a try out. It is only a 4-player experience, which is an issue for some friend groups, but you'll have some laughs, you'll have a good time with it. And if you're into roguelikes, I think you'll have a good time with the campaign itself for a bit at least, You'll get a good 30 hours out of this, no doubt. And the game's only like $35 on the Epic Game Store, so it's not like you're paying $60 for you're playing, a discounted price, and it's not even like it's on sale. Like that's what its price is, like $35. So I would say check it out if you're looking for something new to play and it looked interesting to you. Just go into it knowing what it is. It's not GTA or Saints Row. It is a Payday roguelike. Or Payday 3 has been announced. It's coming out, I think, later this year or sometime next year. Just wait for that, because those games are always good too. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate you. All my socials are down below in the description. Check it all out. Give a thumbs up to this video. Leave a comment down below what you thought of it, what you want me to cover next, potentially. And I will see you guys all next time. Bye.